Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3. Happy Friday. Not a holiday weekend yet, but it just feels like one, Ari.
Got the fresh fade.
Oh, we got the fresh fade.
Yeah, feels good.
Ari's looking good.
You got to get the fade for the weekend. It does kind of feel like a holiday weekend, doesn't it? I don't know if like 4th of July is just going to like be an extra week, but I don't know if this has just occurred to you yet, Andy, but the second you come out from the other side of the 4th of July, like we're in like work mode. Like that's like, like not that we're not always in work mode, but we're like in football mode at that point. So, you're going to be coming, I think, the day after the 4th of July weekend, right? Monday evening. And we're going to be going up to Big 12. And it sounds like we've got a pretty good setup there. I'm super excited for what's ahead. But
Big 12 Media Days is the week after next. So it is on. It is time. And I am very excited. We're getting little drips and drabs of things, and that makes me very happy. Our guy Pete Nakos was down in Thibodaux, Louisiana yesterday at the Manning Passing Academy, and Arch Manning and Garrett Nussmeier were talking. And somebody asked, I think the way Pete put it to me, I think someone asked Garrett Nussmeier this, and Arch ended up answering. But it's funny because they both want the same things, and only one person can get it. But Arch essentially was asked, what's a successful season for Texas? And he said, SEC championship and a national championship. And that is a lot for a first-year starter. Even though we've talked about this a million times, Texas has all the tools. Texas has all the pieces. Texas was right there last year. But that's a lot. But he doesn't seem to be shying away from it.
Well, here's the thing about this. And I always laugh at this stuff. But it's like, what if he said win 9 games? Like the world would go on fire. Like there's one answer for that. Like,
didn't Hugh Freeze say that? We got to go to a bowl game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did say that, and he got cooked, didn't he?
He did get cooked.
Oh, his is rational. Like, also, he's not at Texas with the most loaded roster or one of the 3 most loaded rosters in college football. So, like, I understand what he's getting. Like, here's the thing about the Hugh Freeze one, Andy. If they actually win 9 games, people will be pleased with it. Like, he's right. You just can't say it. Right?
Hugh Freeze, yes, but not Arch Manning. Arch Manning's got to win something.
Hugh Freeze saying, if we win 9 games, I'll be happy, made people mad. But Auburn fans, I think, if they looked in the mirror and said, hey, if we win 9 games, they'll probably take that. No question.
They were like, yeah. They just didn't want him aspiring to win 6. That was the part that pissed them off.
Do you know, I'm sure you know this because you have the steel trap memory, but how many Big 12 championships Texas has? Like from their time in the Big 12? How many?
Won the first one in 1996.
Mm-hmm. And then from 96
in 2000, they won it in 2005. They won it in the last year they were in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least 3. I want to say 4 or 5.
They won it 4 times in roughly 20 years of being in the Big 12.
Right.
And if you consider the teams that they had during that 20-year period, that's remarkably bad, right? So for Texas to have the expectation to win the SEC in year 2 and play on the stage in year 1, I think is another illustration of the growth of the program. So like, I don't think anybody rolls their eyes. I think everybody knows what Texas's goal is. And of course their quarterback is going to echo that.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. But it was interesting because the way he put it, he's sitting next to Garrett Nussmeier and he's like, and I think Garrett would agree with me. Garrett's in the same boat. Like that is what LSU expects. Garrett was very good last year. We talked to Cody Belair yesterday about what Garrett has to throw to this year, which is a good group. And Barryon Brown, according to Cody, is the guy that everybody's talking about in that receiver group for LSU. So if I had to have you handicap it, who do you think has the better 2025? Garrett Nussmeier or Arch Manning? Who you got?
That's a layup.
Is it?
It might come down to one game. Who do I think is going to be better this year?
Yeah. Which quarterback? Quarterback?
That's not a layup.
That's why I asked it.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. My bad.
Yeah.
I think Arch Manning's going to be better.
Interesting. Because I think that year that Nussmeier's already has a starter is a big one, is a big help.
Yeah, I think Nussmeier's going to be a top 5 draft pick this year. So
well,
better.
That's the interesting thing. The people are already putting in, these are like offshore books, so it's hard to say how much thought is going into this. But people are already putting out number 1 overall pick of the 2026 draft odds.
Mm-hmm.
And Arch is like the favorite at plus 200. And as far as we've heard, Arch isn't leaving. So
yeah, that's the reason why I'm surprised the odds are so low. They're not.
Well, again, it's the offshore book, so it's not. But maybe if you're them, you put his odds low.
I think you put his odds low because everybody's going to bet on it. I think.
Yeah, you want people to just hand you money.
Yeah. The question that I have for you though, Andy, is better is different. Better numbers or better performer? Like I think that Nussmeier will have worse numbers, but you could make the case played better.
So you're saying the supporting cast at Texas is what's going to make
like it's pretty impossible for Arch not to put up a lot of numbers, I think, this year.
Here's my thing. It's possible that LSU has a better receiving core than Texas right now.
That is possible. I think that the running aspect of this.
And that is actually the biggest question I have about LSU is are they going to run the ball? They had situations last year where it felt like they could run the ball and then they just got away from it. So philosophically, will they run the ball enough to win the games they got to win? Because I think you're right. I think Nuss is going to put up his numbers. He's going to throw really well. And
I mean, you basically just asked me, would you rather have really good pizza or an awesome chicken parm?
Right. They're both good.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I feel like if you answer the question, you're like the people who listen to the show and people online take you answering the question as me thinking the other one sucks. Like, and that's not at all what's happening here.
Well, that's how the internet works. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to 2025.
That's why I wanted to make the comparison, because I don't want people to come away and saying like, oh, Andy and Ari are so stupid. They think that Arch is going to be better than Garrett Nussmeier this year. They think Nuss stinks, and that it's like I have LSU in my playoffs. So like I have pretty high expectations for them too. So I think that the SEC will have 4 teams in the playoff this year, and you're looking at 2 of them right now.
Yeah. As long as they both get in. Because if they don't, oh boy.
Yeah, LSU's got some games in the beginning of the year that are gonna make things really interesting for their fan base.
Yeah, that LSU Florida game. So I put out my pivot point games column early this week at On 3, and that's not every team's biggest game, because those are easy to find. And then you've got your end of season rivalry games and all that, and you've got some really interesting non-conference games in the first week. But it is the game where, based on where it is in the schedule and the circumstances of the season, you could either win it and kind of launch yourself into something great, or you could lose it and stuff could start to roll downhill really fast. Florida LSU is the first of those games for me this season.
This is really good. I'm looking at your games here. These are good games. Do you want to go through?
Well, you can talk about it. Let's.
Yeah.
Because we got the SEC, like Florida LSU is the SEC opener for both teams. It is LSU will have already played Clemson. Florida is about to play Miami. Like, it feels like a must-win for both teams, and it is a guaranteed meltdown because whoever loses, the fan base is just off a cliff.
Yeah. Early in the season, this is also pretty exciting because LSU could already have a loss at this point.
Could. So or LSU, have a win that says, oh, this might be a playoff team.
Because if LSU beats Clemson, then I think that maybe the meltdown, I don't know, the SEC loss in the opener to Florida would be an absolute, like, there's no way around it. So
yeah, and that's the thing. You look at the rest of the schedule and you're like, oh, if you didn't win this one, are you going to be able to go through the rest of this with only one other loss?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, because I don't remember this off the top of my head. I'm sure you do. So yeah, Florida plays Miami after.
Florida plays Miami right after Then Florida has an open date. Then Texas comes to Gainesville. Then Florida goes to College Station that following week. So
yeah, so
Florida's stretch there is really rough.
Right down the barrel of a pretty impossible run there. So yeah, no, that's a good one. All right, go to the next one. The next one's the same thing. It's just a different conference.
Illinois and Indiana, September 20th. Is Illinois this year's Indiana? It can't be if it can't beat Indiana.
Right. I don't know that either team will melt down to the same degree. Because
no.
But I think that in terms of which direction are you headed? Like, is Illinois going to make the playoff this year? Is Illinois or Indiana going to be in the conversation in November? I think we are going to get the answer on that day, which one is and which one isn't.
Yeah, and they both have some very tough games after that. But I think you got to win this one because the schedule is harder for Indiana this year. Or it should be. I mean, again, last year we were looking at the schedule for Indiana and thinking it would be very hard, and it didn't turn out that way. So that's a fun one. Auburn, Oklahoma that same week is another fun one. It is one that both teams expect to win. Kind of the same as last year. And the Auburn meltdown in that game sort of told you what the rest of the season was going to be like. Oklahoma still had a lot of bad things left to happen to it. But the Jackson Arnold revenge game, where Auburn and Oklahoma both think they're going to win that game, all the subplots of Jackson Arnold coming back to Norman, John Mateer against a really good defense. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
That is one of the sneaky games of the year, dude.
Yes, I agree.
Like that is one, and maybe it won't feel sneaky the week of September 20th because everybody's going to just latch on to the Jackson Arnold aspect of it. But I think if you latch on to the Jackson Arnold aspect, you're missing the bigger aspect, which is what if Brent Venable loses to anybody there? Like,
yes,
if Oklahoma loses games that they should probably, like Oklahoma's probably going to be favored in that game, right? I would assume.
And we got the Auburn schedule up. Look at what Auburn has right after that. They play Texas A&M. They have an open date. Then they play Georgia. Then they play Missouri. Like, if you lose that, you're in danger of it maybe rolling into a 4-game losing streak.
I got news for you, Andy. I think I'm going to go to that. Whether you go or not, blame you. Depending on the time, too. Like, if it's, well, actually, Sooner Scoop folks hooked me up with their studio last year after a night game. Remember that? That was incredible.
Well, listen, George and Eddie and Carrie are the best.
They're the best.
The best.
So, yeah, maybe I'll go up no matter what. But I remember last year I was writing a column about how I thought Tennessee could win the national title after that game.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m. because you go to the stadium, then you walk to the Sooner Scoop studio after interviews, and then you do the show, and then you get back to your car and go to the hotel. I was up all night, but it was one of the best nights of the year. So,
Ari, this is interesting. Alexander in the chat. This dude be hating on Nuss on every video about him. By the way, which one? There's 2 of us. Also, did we just say we thought he's gonna be a top 5 draft pick? I reading comprehension is a lost art, but listening comprehension shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. It's okay, dude. It's okay. That's just, what you said. It's the internet. And like, that's what drives me insane.
I know, but don't be that stupid.
Andy, that's why I argue with people on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like that, because it's just like, do you hear me? Like, I just want to.
Alexander says he was talking crap to somebody in the chat. Come on, bro.
Thank God.
Except you didn't identify the person. You said this dude.
All right. Well, thankfully it wasn't us. But like, that's
learn how to identify people in the chat, I guess. Yeah. So
okay. Well, thank you, Alexander, for being here, and I'm happy you weren't misunderstanding us. Okay.
All right. September 27th. Oregon at Penn State.
Big game for Penn State.
Can Penn State win one of these? Because here's the thing. Penn State has Ohio State, Iowa, Indiana still to go after this game. They play them in a row. I think there's an open date in there. Yes, between Iowa and Ohio State. But if you don't win this game, the playoff is not a guarantee at that point.
Yeah. I might write a column about this, but I might save it for September. that like actually Penn State doesn't have to beat Oregon or Ohio State this year. They have to win the one in January.
Well, they don't have to, but I don't like the idea of leaving at Iowa and a game against Indiana as like those have to be your gimmies, like, because they're not going to be gimmies.
I think if Penn State goes 10-2, they will be in the playoff this year.
Yes, they'll have won enough. It'll be fine.
So even if they lose to Oregon and then they have Ohio State and Indiana, and you have a chance to win one of those games, I think you're still in a pretty good spot. So, but I do think that for Oregon and Penn State, you're going to figure out who you are this year pretty quickly. And I love that game is going to mean something, but I don't know for Penn State. To me, like there's going to be so much put into Penn State must win or must get over the hump or must do this. What Penn State does in the regular season is only a measure of whether or not they get in the playoff. If they do enough in the regular season to get to the playoff, they will be ultimately judged, as Oregon was last year, by what they do in the playoff. Is that a fair thought?
It is very fair. Perfectly fair. But I think Penn State's the poster child for this, but this is really how it is for everybody. This is how it is for Georgia now. Like, Georgia's going to probably get in the playoff, we think. We think they're going to be good enough to get in the playoff, but they got beaten their first game in the playoff last year. Do they advance? Like that's how these types of programs are going to be measured.
It is interesting, though, because if Penn State would have beaten Ohio State last year, and then Penn State would have lost a game that they didn't expect, and the season would have played out the same way, they would have had the same seed and gone through the playoff. Do you think that the thought process about Penn State being a semifinalist would be different had they had a big win in the regular season?
Probably. Or if Penn State had a different path in the playoff and they'd had to beat somebody a little tougher than SMU or Boise State.
I think that people are negging Penn State because they lost their biggest games in the regular season. And then, or like they lost their biggest game in the regular season. They lost the Big Ten championship game, and they were the beneficiary of an easier path. And the second they played a really good team, they lost. So you could still make the case that even though they made it to the CFP semis, that they lost every game against a equitable team that they played, which is bad. So I think if Penn State were to win one of these regular season games and beat Oregon, to illustrate your point and why it's a pivot point game, if Oregon comes in to Happy Valley and Penn State beats them, that'll be the type of game that Penn State has failed by and large to win during the James Franklin era, and thus would set the table moving forward.
Yeah, it just sets a tone for the rest of the year.
Because even if they lose to Ohio State after beating Oregon, they're still in prime playoff spot, and like they had a big win, which is what I think all people want.
Also, and I don't know how much Big Ten titles matter to people. I think they still matter quite a bit.
Ask Oregon.
If you beat Oregon, you're probably going to make the Big Ten title game, even if you lose to Ohio State.
Are Oregon fans prideful of their Big Ten title right now?
I think they are, but I think they know you got to do something in the playoff too.
Yeah, I think that Penn State with this team, if they go into the playoff 10-2 with losses to Ohio State and Oregon, would be really disappointing. So their story would yet to be written. Their story will ultimately be written by what they do in the playoff. But you really, if you're a Penn State fan, if you want things to feel different, that's how they feel different. Winning one of those. I don't even think they have to win both. Just win one of them.
And it'd be very hard to win both. But who knows? I mean,
and if they win both, they'll be the number one seed in the country.
Oregon won all of those games last year, and it didn't help them come playoff time. So,
yeah.
All right. It is Dear Andy and Dear Ari Day. You guys have asked some great questions, and also some other folks have thrown some questions in here too that just made it very fun. I actually went to the message boards for one, Ari, because there was one issue that arose this week in college football universe. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about it yet, and it utterly fascinates me. So I'm going to go with the poll that Y'all Trippin' put up on the Auburn Live message board this week.
Y'all Trippin'.
Y'all Trippin'. Great handle. Could you beat Hugh Freeze at golf? His scores are pretty well known. I believe I saw where he's usually low to mid 80s. How regularly could you beat him? Can we get into the Hugh Freeze golf thing? The Hugh Freeze golf thing is amazing to me because it is a perfect June college football story. And it is utterly ridiculous and sublime, and it has all of the things. So AL.com did a story this week. Matt Stahl wrote it. And it happened to coincide with people decommitting from Auburn's high school recruiting class, not having very many commitments in it. They've gotten some more sense. But it used an app that people use to determine their golf handicaps.
Yeah.
To determine how many SEC coaches were playing golf and how many rounds they were playing. And Hugh Freeze led the way with 11 rounds in June and then posted another score. So it went up to 12 the next day. And the Auburn fan base just went berserk.
Yeah, that's the app that everybody plugs in their scores on the courses they play, and then the app like has an algorithm that tells you what your handicap is, and they're all public. And like, there's
correct.
So here's the thing: I understand when presidents catch flack for playing too much golf. Right. Like, it really doesn't matter which president it is. Everybody
seems to be bipartisan. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah. Democrats and Republicans ripped for playing golf.
I do think that there is something to the notion that there are people on welfare and like the leader of the country is enjoying himself too much. Like if you sign up to be the president, like I understand why that would bother.
It should be a slog. Like it should be miserable the entire time.
Help people. Like I understand that everybody, including the president, probably deserves a day or two off. But when you sign up to be the president, I think that like there's a responsibility there that's an inherently different than being a college football coach.
Well, an SEC football coach
is the president
a lot more than the president. So
yeah. Well, here's the thing. What do you think is an appropriate round number for a coach in June?
The appropriate number that people know about is 0. You can play as much as you want. Just don't plug it into the app.
Well, I mean, I don't even have a problem with him playing 13 rounds of golf in the month of June.
I don't either. You can recruit on the golf course. Here's my thing about it. Look, I went to Florida in the Steve Spurrier era. Steve Spurrier played a lot of golf in the offseason. But he won, so nobody cared.
That's the thing.
If Hugh Freeze goes 9-3, it doesn't matter how much golf he played this June.
Yeah. The question that I have, too, is that if you're playing golf, what are you not doing? And there's nothing that you can't do on the golf course that you could be doing unless you're not at a camp or something that your university is hosting, which I would assume is not the case. So, like, you can make phone calls, you can text on the course, you know?
Well,
and if this is the way he blows off steam, like he's a human being, and like also too, didn't he just have like a pretty major health scare? Like if he wants to get out,
he has cancer. He's being treated for prostate cancer. Like, so yes,
let him live a little bit, you know, like, I don't know. I'm not an Auburn fan and I'm not like desperate to win. So maybe that's just me.
Well, here's my thing with this. Cause I had to make some phone calls on this the other day because I was curious about what is going on with Auburn recruiting and, you know, how's this working? Cause it actually reminded me of another school last year. And it felt like they're in a fairly similar situation. So, as of Monday, when Dexter Carter's son was committed to Auburn, he flips to Florida State where his dad played. That's when everybody went nuts. That's the day that the golf story came out. And, you know, Auburn only had 5 commitments as of that day. It is, I'm checking to see where they're up to now. I think they're up to 7 now, but they had a quarterback named Peyton Falzone flip from Penn State to Auburn yesterday. Yeah, they're up to 7 now. So here's the thing. Auburn is probably not going to have the greatest high school recruiting class for 2026 right now. Like you saw Alabama got a bunch of really good players to commit to them in the last week. You're going to see Michigan get some in a few weeks. Auburn's probably not going to do that right now. And here's why. And this is going to be how things work from now on, I think. They're not sure about Hugh Freeze. The money people aren't sure about Hugh Freeze because he's not won to the level that they want. This was exactly the same case with Florida and Billy Napier last year. Billy Napier was on the hot seat. If you look at Florida's high school recruiting last year, this time, and through the season, even through the first months of the season, it was pretty dismal. Because if you are the people putting the money together, are you going to make competitive offers for people that a coaching staff wants when you don't know that coaching staff will be there? Once it became clear Billy Napier was coming back at Florida, all of a sudden recruiting picked up, and they ended up, I think, with the number 10 class in the country. They started flipping people like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That will happen at Auburn if they win. Like if Auburn wins and it's very clear that Hugh Freeze is the guy and he's going to be back, I guarantee they start flipping people like crazy. And that recruiting ranking goes way up.
And this doesn't apply to the modern era, Andy, but like in the past, this would be stupid because it was harder to transfer. Now you don't want to sink money into players that would be maybe more willing to leave if you fire your coach.
Correct, because they were coming to play for that guy. And
right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because if they're actually coming for money, they're not coming to play for him. And then, I mean, you can put yourself in a pretzel thinking about whether or not you should. Like, I think that the goal should always be to get as many people who are really good at football in line to play for you. And whatever happens, you deal with as it happens. But like my theory is always sign as many or get as many commitments as you possibly can from players to come play. And then if something bad happens, then try to mitigate that at that point. But like taking the slow route, though probably more effective now with money involved than it ever was before, is just kind of an interesting thought process to me. I get it.
If I were Auburn, I'd do exactly what Florida did last year. Like if Auburn starts winning games and it looks like they're having a good year, that's when you say, all right, who do we want? Who do we really want? And you put together some very attractive offers.
Also, Hugh is very in tune with the notion that if they don't win, he's fired this year or could be fired. So like if he thinks his time is best spent playing golf in June, just understand that like as he's swinging his driver, there's nobody more keenly aware of the expectations of what needs to happen, this season. And this is what he thinks is the best use of his time. Also,
I think that's the frustration with them is that they're worried he's checked out and that he's just resigned himself to this being that way. But I don't think that's the case because I look at the roster and they can be very good, not just okay. They can be really, really good.
Yeah.
So, and again, you can kill yourself right now trying to get players to come and commit to you. But the fact of the matter is, smart players are going to stay away until they know what the situation is going to be next year.
Yeah.
And that will not reveal itself until this season.
I think Auburn is going to be good enough for him to keep his job this year. I do. I really do, Andy.
I agree. I think Auburn can be a 9-win team, potential fringe playoff team. Like 8-4 seems like almost a disappointment, but 8-4 is probably good enough.
Yeah. It's going to be a hell of a banger to watch in Columbus, Ohio on August 29th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got Baylor on the schedule right out of the gate on the road in Waco.
On Friday night. Exactly. Well, you may be in Columbus. I'm probably going to be in a high school football field and joining you that morning.
No. You do have to be at the high school game.
Yes. I have to miss as few of those as humanly possible.
Oh, by the way, just so you know, I talked to somebody who listens to our show last week, and he said that he really respects how you prioritize your family during football season and that it makes you more relatable and likable. I just thought,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And who knows if the kid keeps going the way he is, the job and the family may coincide. So we'll see how that goes. But
that goes that way for you.
But it's going to be very interesting to see what Auburn does, because I think the roster is so good that, and it also actually makes the decision easy if they don't win, because the roster is really good. So that will tell you all you need to know if you wind up going 5-7 or 6-6.
The fact that you could sit here on June 27th and say the roster is above average or really good, I think is an illustration that he's done a good job so far. Now that good job has to matriculate into results.
Yeah. That's really all it is. And so he can play all the golf he wants. Again, I don't know that I'd be posting scores.
Again,
Posting
you don't
have to do that. You really don't have to do that.
Yeah, I don't think he's aware of what people are saying, if I'm being
Well,
honest.
the thing is, if you're in Auburn, like or in any SEC town, like the small SEC, Auburn, Gainesville, Tuscaloosa, Oxford, Starkville, towns like that, everybody knows everything. Everybody knows what everybody's doing.
Yeah. I'm not going to get fired up about it.
I just think it has been highly amusing to me all week to watch. And like, if you go to AL, like you type in AL.com, Hugh Freeze golf, there's the original story. There's multiple columns. There's so many photos of Hugh Freeze playing golf.
Did you answer the question though? Could you beat him? I don't know. Do you golf ever?
There's no shot I could beat him. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I'm awful.
Yeah, if he shoots in the mid 80s, he's destroying me.
When I go play 18 holes, which is becoming more frequent lately, my goal is to have 5 really good shots through the entire round.
I think that's a good way to do it. Like, because listen, you can keep score, but if you don't play very often, you're just going to be mad and disappointed.
I mean, there are times where I won't even finish the hole. Like, I'll be so far off, or I'll lose the ball or whatever. I'll just drive the cart to the green and meet my friends who are really good, and then we'll go to the next hole. Like,
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Golf requires reps. Like, if you're not getting the reps in, you should just count your great shots as the victories.
I've thought about getting lessons though, because it seems like when you do get a good shot, it feels really good.
Of course it does. It makes you come back.
All I would ever want is to shoot 90. Like, good enough to enjoy the day.
And I think that would be fine, because I think that's most people.
Yeah, just good enough to play a functional round where you're not losing your ball. You have a bunch of good shots. You can have your beers and have a good time without being an embarrassment and holding other people up.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Hugh Freeze already there on the golf course. Just needs to get where he needs to be on the football field.
Visual of Tiger Woods at the Masters. Just like, how is that relating to anything we're talking about?
River's not playing around.
No,
River's getting a big head because everybody's talking about how great he is at firing off that B-roll at just the perfect time. I will say, River had a moment in Whose Team Is It Anyway? When there was it is not Whose Team Is It? It's one of the shows that you're going to see next week, where one of our guests is talking about a particular offensive lineman, and a picture of the coach comes up, and that offensive lineman, and you can read the name on the back of his jersey, is the one the coach is talking to. It was
that on, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but if it was, he's killing it. So
it was
See
perfect.
a little River at the end of this show too.
That's exactly right, because we got the random ranking coming up. Fictional foods
all lined up, and he's going out tonight, ladies. Just so you know, in Nashville, Tennessee, he's going out tonight, and he's looking around for his future bride. So if you're listening, sweetheart, he's going to be out, and I'll tell you where he is. We'll ask him when he comes on later where he's going tonight.
We should have a Where's River feature, like on our social media. Like, where is River right now? If the ladies want to come see him.
Yeah, right. Until we find my goal is to create the best podcast we possibly could with the most listeners possible, so that On3 is prosperous and our show is great, and to get River married. Those are my 2 goals in life.
Those are 2 admirable goals, and I think we're in good shape if we achieve both of them, and I think we can achieve both.
I mean, I'm at the point where I'm gonna get his pictures, and I'm gonna make a Bumble profile and geolocate it to Nashville and just swipe for him, because I'm good at that. Like, I could back.
You have experience on the apps from your single days, so
I was a sniper on those apps. I did the treadmill where you hold the phone and you would go like this with your hands. You don't even look. You just swipe this way with your fingers, because I want to choose from the girls that want to talk to me. I'm not going to waste time. Now, granted, I matched with a lot of, not so attractive people.
They might have said the same about you.
Yeah, maybe they were doing the treadmill. I don't know. But if you have like 30 girls that you can choose from and 3 are attractive, that's a pretty good ratio.
Sailor Joe says, Andy, the Road to Glory deep dive is today from EA Sports College Football 26. Are you going to talk about your experience? I know this is one you want to talk about. Sailor Joe, I'm glad you asked that. Yes, there will be a video dropping right after this show talking about the new Road to Glory. So
we did it already.
Stay tuned for that.
Yep.
All right, next question from Travis. We've seen transfer QBs take big jumps in their second year in a system. Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels most famously, Michael Penix and Bo Nix recently as well. Are there any QBs this year where you see a potential second-year jump? Quick search through the 2024 QB class at On3. Some candidates: Aiden Childs at Michigan State, Eli Holstein at Pitt, Brendan Sorsby at Cincinnati, Taylon Green at Arkansas. Does Jaden Maiava count? P.S. LSU is not allowed to blame NIL or bag dropping for losing out on any recruits this year after they spent $261,950 in Jello shots in Omaha. Hey, those were for a good cause. Those Jello shots are for a good cause at Rocco's. So good job.
1,000 on Jello shots. Second year full-time starters.
So Sam Levitt's the answer, by the way, of the transfer guys, of the guys who transferred and then became the starter at their place. Sam Levitt's the one I'm most excited to see in his second year as a starter at the new place. I actually think we can expand this category to people and include somebody we were talking about at the top of the show, because I don't think it's just second year as a starter at the new school after transferring that matters. I just think it's second year as the starter and quarterback, because I think that's where you make that big leap. So that's Garrett Nussmeier. That's Lenore Sellers. Could be DJ Lagway if we've got the biggest. If we say his sample size was big enough last year to count last year as his first year as a starting quarterback.
Yeah. So it has to be transfers?
Well, that's what Travis is saying. He's saying Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Their second year as the starter at the new place was when they really took off.
Yeah. Because I have some thoughts on guys that aren't transfers that can make a second year jump. But like the thing that's so funny to me is like I think Sam Levitt played much better than Joe Burrow did in year one. Like that's probably
agreed.
The answer, but like Sam Levitt is further along. Like Joe Burrow
and Jaden Daniels were both okay to above average in that first year, and then incredible the next year.
Okay to above average to like the single greatest offensive seasons in the history of the sport is pretty remarkable.
It is incredible. Now,
I think
both
Sam
of them
Levitt
had a couple first-round receivers.
Oh yeah, I mean, things have to come together to be historic, you know.
Jaden Maiava is an interesting one too, because USC didn't end up going and getting a quarterback in the portal, but they did sign Hassan Longstreet, who it sounds like they're very excited about. So Jaden Maiava did not set the world on fire when he was the starter at USC. So I don't know if he takes a jump or is Hassan Longstreet breathing down his neck. Ooh, here we go. This is a good one from N Dennis 133. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. This will be year two. He is a transfer. He transferred from Mississippi State. I believe this is year two as the full-time starter for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's guys who are like going into year three, maybe that you could.
Yeah, it's definitely year two as a full-time starter for Sawyer Robertson. He took over for Blake Shapen. Well, he took over for Blake Shapen kind of midway through 2023. So you may call this year three for Sawyer Robertson. That's the only thing. And it's hard with this because you have situations like Jaden Maiava, Sawyer Robertson, DJ Lagway, where they take over mid-season and they are the returning starting quarterback, but they were not the starting quarterback all year.
What about Diego Pavia?
That's a good one.
Is he already too good?
But the interesting thing about Diego Pavia and Aiden Childs is it's not their second year in the system. They played for those OCs at their old schools.
Yeah.
So, like, should we expect? I don't think we should expect a bigger jump from Aiden Childs this year because he was already playing for these guys at Oregon State.
Yeah, I'm like looking at quarterbacks that come to my mind, and a lot of these guys that are popping in are like going into their third year. Like Haynes King popped in, he's the third year.
Eli Holstein at Pitt is definitely qualifies for this one.
Popped in my head, but that's third year, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I guess Sam Levitt would be the answer. I think Sam Levitt has a chance to be a star. Like, he wasn't the star of his team, and I think there's some people out there that are probably like iffy on him because they did have Bo Scadaboo last year. But he also was operating at a pretty high level without Tyson for a large portion of the last year.
Yeah, Jordan Tyson missed the Big 12 championship game and the Peach Bowl. Jordan Tyson is their best receiver. He'll be back this year. And you know, no Cam Scadaboo, but that's where Sam Levitt has to make that jump. Like, that's where he has to be able to take the. Oh, that's right. Kenneth pointing out that Sawyer Robertson did take over for Daquan Finn last year. So yeah, we can have Sawyer Robertson on this list, and that was Jake Spavital's first year as the OC at Baylor too. So I think Sawyer Robertson actually probably is one to watch. And what did we mention when we were talking Auburn? Friday night, week 1, they're at Baylor. That is going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Levitt's the guy.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm very excited because he does have to be the star of that team now that Cam Scadaboo is gone.
Yep.
So William wanted to continue a conversation that we had earlier in the week, but flip it a little bit. What's more likely, a team winning 3 out of the next 10 national titles, or a team that currently is not a generally considered top 25 program winning one?
3 out of the next 10.
Right, because you still have Ohio State, Georgia that are going to recruit at a really high level.
10's a long time.
I just don't know that there's going to be a 3. I don't know that somebody's going to get 3. Like, think about how good Ohio State was from 2014 to 2023. That's 10 seasons, and they won 1.
Yep. And now you can make the case that actually winning the national title is more difficult than it's ever been. Getting to the playoff is easier than it's ever been, but winning 4 games in a row is hard. Yeah.
So that's the thing that I don't know that we're going to see a team win 3 in the next 10 years because it's just, I think it's going to be hard to have that much talent stacked up that comes back.
I just have a really hard time taking the leap that a team that isn't considered a top 25 program right now is going to grow enough to do it.
Right. Because
that's hard.
The last one that took that leap is Clemson.
And it took 10 years.
Clemson was still a pretty good program. Like, the reason they fired Tommy Bowden when they did was because they had high expectations for that team in 2008. They thought that team should compete for the ACC title.
If you actually think about the spirit of the question, Andy, it's definitely 3 out of the next 10 because, like, listen, Florida, Auburn, Miami, Ole Miss, even Nebraska, Tennessee, these are all top 25 programs. They have to be further down the rung than those teams to win one in the next decade. That's really, really hard to imagine.
It would be hard, right? Because like, we've got SMU up in the top 20. Like, we know they're good now.
I'm just trying to think of would Colorado even be fringe top 25, or would it have to be Colorado?
Colorado maybe, but I still don't. I don't know that a Big 12 team is going to be able to do it.
I just feel like Colorado is the best horse for long shot that you can come up with. A team that no one thinks can do it, but actually, if you were going to put your money on a long shot, like Colorado is probably the best place to harbor that cash because of their recruiting potential. But I just don't know who else would fall into that category.
Right. They could potentially have those 9-10 elite players that you need. They don't right now, but they might get there. Indiana might get there, but I mean, Indiana made the playoff last year, so
like Arkansas, like a team like that, Kentucky.
That's the thing. Like, could somebody like that, who's in the SEC or the Big Ten, who has money, who just gets through? Well, Indiana if we asked this question before last year, we never would have suggested Indiana would even make the playoff. But Indiana might be that.
Well, let me rephrase it this way. Do you think a team will successfully in the next decade go from average to great enough to win the national title in a single offseason?
Not in a single offseason, no.
Because this is going to be the.
But what I think what they're asking is somebody who's not perennial top 25 now wins a national title sometime in the next 10 years. It's not did they do it overnight. It's somebody now who makes the right hire or makes some of the right choices where 8 years from now they win the national title, probably after being good for about 5 years.
My number one question as it pertains to this type of roster building is flash in the pan a good jump start to building. Like, I think Indiana's going to be an interesting case study, but we saw what Florida State did 2 years ago, and we saw what they were last year.
But Indiana didn't lose most of its impact players.
No, I know, but Florida State was also starting 20,000 steps ahead of where Indiana started from.
True.
Like, I just I'm trying to think, like, do you think that getting a group of 6 transfers who are freaking awesome and lead your team to the playoff in 1 year and then leave, is that a good enough starting point to build from, or do you start over when that happens? That's like, I don't know.
I do think you're starting over when that happens. And so the coach has to be good enough to do that repeatedly and then build high school recruiting.
I think that
underneath that
in this new era, Andy, and you might disagree with this. I think flipping your roster in a year or two period is infinitely easier, but I think building sustainability is even harder now than it's ever been.
Agreed.
Because the way that you build sustainability is through high school and through having players on your team for multiple years who develop and signing and stacking classes. Like, getting 4 players as rentals does nothing for your long-term build. And
it's also what we've talked about with Clemson. Like, one of the reasons you and I like Clemson this year is that team's been through some stuff together. Like,
how
many other teams have at this point?
This is the thing that used to drive me insane when we would go into this discussion about, is the expansion of the playoff better for parity? And it's like, I think people thought that if you made the playoff 1 year, that all of a sudden the following year, do you think people look at Indiana differently? I mean, some do maybe, but like most people, Indiana shouldn't have made it last year. They suck. They're Indiana. Like, it takes years and years of sustained success year over year to change your perception as a program. Do you think SMU is looked at differently nationally from the average fan than they were 12 months ago? Like, maybe to some, but not really. Like, as Boise, like, it's hard. Having a good year is not enough. Like, making the playoff is not enough.
You have to stack good years. And that's the question is, can somebody stack 4 or 5 good years in the next 10 and maybe become a national title contender? Someone will. Like, there's going to be somebody new in the club at some point. Clemson can't be the last one to ever get into the club.
Unless the club is exclusive and the room, maybe it's the Amex Centurion Lounge. It's full.
Is that the lounge that got you ripped off on the shoes?
No, that's where you sit in the airport and get free food.
I'm joking.
But like, I did get ripped off. Oh, by the way, just so you know, a former Oregon football player messaged me last night and said, "Hey, I've got team issued Oregon shoes." He listens to the show every day, and I don't want to say his name because I don't want to give his identity away. But if you're interested in buying team issued only Oregon shoes, I'd love to sell them to you because I love your show. And I was like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But he's also sitting on shoes that are like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I had to tell him, like, find your spot.
You should probably, make some money yourself. Yes.
I guess they wore them once because they made you wear them to the game. Mm-hmm. But they're like the Jordan 3s with the duck feet on the back. Have you seen those shoes?
Somebody guarantees somebody wants those.
3 rappers, LeBron James, and the Oregon football team.
Yeah.
They're collector's items.
Yeah.
We're going to show them on the show when he gets home. He's out of town. I want to show him on the show. I'm going to help. I want to be the broker that helps him sell them legitimately.
Listen, somebody will jump on those. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting question. Something I had not thought of, and I'm curious if you've thought about this. This is from Sam in Chicago. Ari's thoughts on BYU's potential to open the money gun got me thinking. You know what other schools associated with an entity with a massive budget the Army Black Knights. The military is struggling with enlistment, and a killer football team could be great PR. It's one of the most respected schools in the country academically. The program has a history, in fairness, an ancient history of national championships and Heisman winners. And for following recruiting, I know there's a ton of elite prospects with veterans for parents. Plus, this presidential administration feels primed to make a move like this. Who says no? I think the Army might say no. And I'll tell you why. Because if you, let's say you did that and you suddenly got all these elite recruits going to Army, well, first of all, they then need to have to do the service commitment. Like, I don't know that suddenly they're going to let them go play in the NFL right after they finish at Army.
And people who are good enough to change a program enough to win a national title want to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't you have to be there for 3 years, right? To be obligated to fulfill your service, or is that correct?
And then also there's a deal if you leave, and I can't remember what the threshold is, how long you have to stay, but there's also a deal where if you stayed a certain amount of time and you leave, then you owe the government money back, because everyone at the school, not just the athletes, everyone at the school is on a full scholarship. So didn't David Robinson have to serve in the Navy before he went to the NBA? Alexander asked. Yes, that's true. David Robinson did that. They've had some situations where somebody has been able to go play in the pros immediately out of the service academies and then be in the reserves. But I don't know that that's something they would do. Another person,
Jeremiah Smith had to go do a tour in the Middle East after this.
Well, like that, exactly. Another person in the chat pointed out that enlistment is at a high right now. It is recently at a high. It had been dipping. Now, I was reading up on this, and there's a kind of a basic fact. If you look at how things have worked since the draft was abolished, if the economy is down, enlistment goes up. If the economy is good, enlistment goes down. That's how generally these things work. So enlistment's on an upswing, which I don't know, that's not necessarily good news for the economy.
S&P 500 is at an all-time high today, just so you know.
I know. I saw that. I saw everything went up yesterday. But that's why it's a good idea in theory, but I think because of what you have to do in terms of the service commitment and them not really being willing to bend on the service commitment, I don't think you'd get those kinds of players who expect to just go to the NFL.
Or if you got the type of players that came and then left after year 2, you're kind of like bastardizing the process, which I'm not sure the Army wants to do either. So
exactly, they have to think of all the other students at the academy as well who do have to do this stuff.
Also, I think it takes a special type of person and a type of person that I have tremendous amount of respect for to sign up for that. So
yes, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm a bad American, but like I would not last 5 minutes. Like I watch those basic training videos and I'm like, I would die.
It does not look easy. Like,
Can you imagine me in basic training, Andy?
I would watch that movie. It would be the greatest basic training movie since Stripes.
I would have a jelly donut in my Foot Locker. Okay. Like I would.
Yeah.
See the last comment.
All right. Is that a? I don't. Do I get into my early question now?
What?
I can. By the way, I can recite the entire Private Cowboy speech.
Do it. Right, that's in that, right? Yeah. No, we'll keep.
Where the hell are you from, anyway, Private? Sir, Texas, sir. Texas.
Yeah. That's yeah. And that's where it stops. I know the next line, and we're gonna move on to the next question.
Oh, I could go the whole way. But yeah, you in basic training would be spectacular. Like, yeah, when you got KP duty and you're peeling potatoes.
There's 2 things that could happen in basic training. And like, listen, we didn't grow up in World War II times or times of great desperation, though, the world is kind of off kilter at the moment. But I think that when the people who grew up in the 40s and the 30s who like went into basic training, felt an obligation and a connection and a responsibility to this country that I don't know that the youth today does. But if you go into the Army basic training in that type of scenario, you might not be equipped to be there when you get there, but the entire purpose of being there
is to get you ready for what you've got to do. Yes.
Either I would just like go crazy and be Gomer Pyle, or maybe I would turn into like a ripped killing machine by the time I'm done. I don't know.
I think Gomer Pyle wound up a decent Marine at the end.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
He did. Well, I mean, until it fell out, went off the rails.
Still a singing voice too from Jim Neighbors, by the way.
Yeah, but he lost weight and got in shape in the movie, right? I haven't seen it in a long time, but
you're talking about Private Pyle and Full Metal Jacket. I'm talking about
not Gomer Pyle.
Gomer Pyle USMC.
Private Pyle got into shape before.
Private Pyle is Vincent D'Onofrio, right?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah, So yes, he does get in shape. Yes, and Private Pyle is excellent at cleaning and reassembling his rifle.
Yeah. This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Okay, go ahead.
This is my rifle. This is my gun. Sorry. All right.
Are you actually proud of me for
question from Dan?
I understood this one.
There you go. Interesting question from Dan. If I remember correctly, Ari had every team from the SEC ranked in his top 25 except for Mizzou, Vandy, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. So assuming the other 11 teams that he ranked don't lose to any of the unranked teams, someone has to be 11th in the conference standings. Who would you predict is most likely going to be disappointed? My personal guess is either South Carolina or Oklahoma. Auburn is probably the right choice, but that doesn't seem like a fun prediction. And it's an odd year. Correct. Auburn gets Georgia and Alabama at home this year. They could both go 7 or even 8 wins on the season, but I could see either fan base being disappointed because all the hype sellers and Mateer are getting along with some of the other pieces on the team, like Ott and Stewart. Okay. This is really fun. All right. I'm looking at your top 25, making sure that is that he's correct. It is 11. So Texas is 1, LSU is 2, Georgia is 3, Alabama is 4, Florida is 5, South Carolina is 6, Auburn is 7, Oklahoma is 8, Ole Miss is 9, Tennessee is 10, and Texas A&M is 11. That is correct. You have 11 SEC. So who finishes number 11 in the conference standings, Ari?
So here's the thing that I hate doing this because I'm going to get hated on. Like, you're just setting me up to like get dragged.
Well, if you look at your ranking, it's either Tennessee or Texas A&M because that's who you have at 24 and 25.
Yeah, but he asked which teams are going to be the most disappointed. I think Tennessee, River can come up and correct me, but I think Tennessee is bracing itself for what could be a disappointed season. Like, I don't think that they're coming. I think they're coming in a little gun shy. So, like, I don't know if their like level of disappointment, like Tennessee isn't in like a win or go home mentality with Heupel, right? Like they're kind of already resigned. Like, so that's not the question that. Yeah. And I think A&M would be disappointed for sure if they finished 11th. Go ahead, River. How do Tennessee fans feel about the season coming into the year?
I mean, they're not expecting the playoffs. I had a group message this morning that a lot of people said 8-4, and if they do that, 8-4, maybe 7-5. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think. I don't think they're expecting
8-4. 8-4 might be 4-4 in the league, which might put them in.
Yeah.
Depending on tiebreakers.
Which team that I have on my like disappointing list? And I'm not going to break their hearts, man. I love them, but South Carolina, I think, is like prime candidate for like.
You can't hurt South Carolina people any more than they've already been hurt.
But they're really amped for the season, and they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country and maybe the best defensive player in the country. They lost a lot of juice on their defense, dude. A lot. And I think that, like, in order to navigate and traverse the SEC in a way that is an improvement from last year, I think they're setting themselves up for disappointment.
So Nick Emenworry, Kyle Kennard, Tonka Hemingway. Yeah, those are big losses.
Big losses. I don't know if they replaced. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. But I just. South Carolina has to have a better year than last year for them to be happy. And I think that is setting up for some disappointment. That's all. They have
because 9-3 is a good year at South Carolina, especially given the way the SEC schedule has changed and the fact that they play Clemson every year.
But South Carolina is kind of gearing up for playoff, right? Like that's what where their minds are at. And I don't know if I think they're going to finish 11th. I'm not going to go that far, but in terms of the spirit of the question, which team is going to be most disappointed? Like LSU, Oklahoma, Bama, Ole Miss, A&M, and then finishing the year off in Clemson's a hell of a freaking stretch, dude. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I just don't know that I see it. I think that South Carolina could be the 14th best team in the country and fall in the rankings behind teams like Tech and ASU and BYU because they just play a tougher schedule. Like it's going to be a tough year for them, I think.
Or they're gonna,
yeah.
Sellers takes the next step and they're awesome. But that's the fine line, I think, in the SEC, even more so than the Big Ten. Like you can have a couple games that are the difference between you being a playoff contender and you being incredibly disappointed in how the season went.
But if South Carolina goes 7-5, which against that schedule would not be an absolute disaster, because that means you beat Mizzou, you probably beat Virginia Tech, you beat Kentucky, maybe you get Ole Miss in the middle there, but you lose to like LSU, Oklahoma, Bama, and A&M and Clemson. Like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I just think that the expectations and what actually has to happen for them to meet them is they don't equate to me.
It's a lot. And the thing is, we talked about Auburn and Oklahoma already too. Those expectations are high, but I think both those fan bases suffered enough last season that if things don't go right, they're like, oh yeah, okay. South Carolina fans are jacked for this season.
Just to put it in perspective too, and River sent this to us behind the scenes.
Florida, and I'll point that Florida is in the same boat here. Like Florida fans are as excited as they've been about a season, but I think they're also like the Auburn and Oklahoma fans, like, oh yeah, the piano could fall on us at some point.
The FanDuel win total for a South Carolina is 7.5. If you want to put in perspective of what Vegas thinks you're going to do and what you think you're going to do.
Right. So you cash a ticket at 8-4, but you're not happy with it. I do think the win total game that we should play is over a disappointment or is over something that makes you happy. Because I think if over is a disappointment, then you probably should hit the over.
Yeah, unless, that's right. That's right. But if you play that game in real life and you lose your bet, then you're out of money and you're sad.
Don't bet on your favorite team, kids. That's
all we do. That's all people do.
Don't emotionally bet
on their favorite team. Everybody bets on their favorite team. It's the best part. Your team wins and you get money. It's great. But yeah, that would be my answer. In the SEC, I've been critical of the SEC for the past year. I think that without question, it's definitely the deepest conference this year. It'll be interesting to see if they have any secondary, truly elite teams to go with Texas by the time this is over with. And they probably do. Maybe Alabama, Georgia, maybe Florida.
Alabama is very talented.
Maybe Florida will surprise people and be awesome this year. I don't know. But I've just had South Carolina in the back of my head of like, these people are really excited, and the proposition of what they have to do to cash in on that excitement is very.
Listen, they're veterans at this. They've been excited and they've been heartbroken before. They've been doing this since before you were born, Ari.
And I see, Andy, in the chat that people are saying Oklahoma. Oklahoma has the hardest schedule in the entire country and maybe the history of the universe. Like
the last 7 games for Oklahoma are the hardest 7 games any college football team has ever had to face.
So I think that Oklahoma is going into it like, well, I hope we're better, but shit. Like, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of the, you heard the preview we had with Eddie and the boys. Like they were just like, yeah, we understand. Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, Mizzou, LSU all in a row.
It's so brutal. Like, it's just not fair. It's so not fair.
Not to mention they have Michigan and Auburn in the first half. So the first half of their schedule is certainly important. But Oklahoma could suffer some very big disappointment by losing to Michigan in the second week of the season, and that has nothing to do with the SEC standings, which is why I didn't put them there.
And that's the thing. Like in the SEC now with some of these schedules, if you can't build the kind of depth that you used to be able to build, which I don't think you can, when you get a stretch like that, that's where that gets exposed. By the way, I was talking to somebody on the phone the other day, and they pointed this out to me, and I hadn't thought about this, but if the CFP doesn't figure out what they're going to do, the SEC is going to have to make schedules for 26 and 27. And so they'll make an 8-game schedule for 26 and 27, but it's not really going to conform to any kind of rules. But all we do know is the teams that have the brutal ones are probably going to get a little easier one. And the teams that have the little bit easier ones, get ready. Missouri, you're about to be in a world of pain in 26 and 27.
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's a merry-go-round, and that's what makes the sport fun too. It's like if you have 11 teams that are in the top 25 in the SEC, and that is a consistent trend, then the schedules are going to turn out to be far more important than they've ever been in the past. So, yeah.
And it's not like Missouri plays nobody now. Like Missouri has to play South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. Like their schedule's not easy, but it's going to get way worse.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing Texas. They're not playing Georgia. They're not playing LSU. They're not playing Florida. Like this is not. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. All right, random ranking time. It is Friday. This one from Michael, shouting us out from the land of 10,000 lakes. He said, "Sign me up for a return of random rankings, either as a new Blockbuster Media property or just as a return as a segment to the show. I have a random ranking for your consideration. What meal or food item, real or fantastical, from a piece of fiction, be it a movie, show, or a book, would you most want to try? Water from an Alaskan glacier blessed by an Eskimo medicine man, the imaginary food from Hook, the fizzy lifting drink, one of the 20-layer sandwiches that Shaggy makes in Scooby-Doo. Leave the gun, eat the cannoli." Michael's choice has always been the steak, eggs, and mashed potatoes breakfast from Twister, which is a fine choice. So we were going to do this as a draft because I worried about overlap, but then producer River says we have no overlap. So I think we can do this as a ranking. We'll go from 5 to 1 for each of us. I got to find my list that I sent to River because I can't remember exactly what order they're in. Here we go. Okay, excellent. So would you like me to go ahead, Art.
Start, Andy, but like in the past, when we ever do these random rankings, I always kind of miss the point by 5%, and I might have done that again.
Okay.
Like the sequel one, I was like, these are all the movies I want more of, and like everyone's like, those are terrible movies to have sequels for. So like, I don't know if I
so many people were mad at you for the idea of a Shawshank Redemption sequel because the Shawshank Redemption is such a perfect movie.
Yeah, they're right. I messed up. But I kind of went off the deep end a little bit again. So just a forewarning for you, because that's like my personality is always a little bit weird. But okay.
All right.
You start, Andy.
All right. Number 5 for me is the Flaming Moe from The Simpsons. This is the drink he accidentally invents. I believe he steals a recipe from Homer. And I believe Homer says the secret recipe or the secret ingredient is cough syrup. So essentially it's purple drink set on fire. That's a Flaming Moe. That sounds like a party right there.
In that or what? Like,
I don't know.
That I thought somebody was going to put Duff beer on their list. So the like
Duff Man. I was Duff Man for Halloween one year.
And that's why I thought you were going to draft them, because I knew that was a Halloween costume for you. But yeah, like lit on fire, like cough syrup. Lil Wayne almost died over this drink, dude. Like, you got to be careful. But yes, I would.
Marcus Russell threw away an entire NFL career for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's highly addictive, I think. So, but that's a good pick, Andy.
River,
all right,
what you got?
I have. Sorry, I did not know I was going quite yet. My number 5 pick is Ratatouille from the movie Ratatouille.
I considered this. My daughter was mad I left it off the list. She actually wants to make Ratatouille at home. I'm not sure as a non-French chef that I'm capable of it, but what it did look good.
I've never seen this movie. What is it supposed to be?
It's like the rat gets inside the chef's hat and helps him make the food, and like he's the mastermind behind these great dishes at a restaurant. And it's really the rat just making all the food in place.
What is that on the plate?
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. It's a French dish. It's like a classic French dish.
Okay. Yeah, no idea what that is.
Yeah. Ari.
Okay, I guess I'm up. My number 5 is Little Nero's Pizza from Home Alone. I don't know if that's weird or not, but they show the pizza. They don't show the pizza like from the delivery guy, but I think it's the same pizza he ordered in the limo. And I don't know if I'm just a fat kid who just like looks at the food, but like when they show him in the limo with the pizza, because it's his favorite pizza place, it just looks like a classic New York slice, and I'm assuming that there's something similar to it.
Well, no, but they order Little Nero's at home.
At home, right?
They're in suburban Chicago at home.
Yeah, right.
So are we to assume Little Nero's is a national chain?
I don't know. All I know for sure is that in that moment, when he is at home and it's freezing cold outside and it's Christmas, and you have this dude standing out there with all this pizza, like my mouth was watering watching this movie.
It's glorious. Now, are you a freak like Kevin McAllister who only likes cheese pizza?
As I get older, I'm starting to prefer cheese pizza, but what I found is that really elite pizza, cheese is fine. Bad pizza, cheese doesn't get the job done. So if you go to a crappy chain or something and you know the pizza's not very good, then you want to add pepperoni for flavor. But if you get like a really good New York slice, cheese gets the job done for me.
All right, my number 4. Kevin's chili from The Office. Description of this: I hand roast the chilies. It sounds amazing. Now it looks like dog food when he spills it, but it sounds incredible.
Was this was this like ever a moment when you watched this and you just got like secondhand embarrassment from watching it? Like you just felt bad for him. Like you felt just awful when he drops the whole thing of chili. It's like, hey, you probably worked really hard.
I don't know that I've ever felt so bad. I'll tell you what. One time, this is the second worst I've ever felt for a fictional character.
Okay.
The worst I've ever felt for a fictional character is for the Jon Favreau character in Swingers during the answering machine scene. That is to date still the most uncomfortable movie scene for me when he keeps calling.
Andy, so Landis is in here. Shout out Dollaby. And he goes, fictional foods, Ari picks real food. So did I miss the mark? Because a few of mine are like that.
Well, all of my only one of mine is something you can't actually recreate or get in real life.
Chili.
Yeah. But all of mine are integral to the plot of the movie show they're in.
Oh, okay. I don't know that mine are, but we'll keep. I mean, maybe we'll see.
They work, Ari.
We'll see. I just don't want. I don't want to get strays from Landis on our podcast. You know.
Yeah. River number 4.
My number 4 is a Good Burger with Ed sauce from the movie Good Burger.
I figured one of these was coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm too old for this is just past my generation. Didn't watch Good Burger.
Peak Nickelodeon childhood here for me. So
yeah.
Grew up on this movie. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Take your order.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the good thing about this is that we're kind of like stretched. Like Andy and I aren't that much different in age, but like I think our pop culture like references were different because I think like
we're 10 years different. That is in pop culture, that's essentially a generation.
Yeah. And like River and I are 10 years different. So like this, I watched this when I was a kid, but like that looks like mac sauce to me. So
why is everybody's secret sauce just Thousand Island dressing? That's what I want to know.
The best
it's always the same color.
Well, also too, like Thousand Island dressing is absolutely and utterly elite, and you're
garbage
mayonnaise.
You're just straight up garbage. It's just mayonnaise and ketchup.
Yeah. Okay. My number 2.
Your number 4.
Or number 4. Sorry, my second one would be Los Pollos Hermanos. From Breaking Bad. And we saw chicken, I think, a few times in the show. But you want to know when my mouth was actually watering, which is the most
when you're watching Gus Fring clean everything.
No,
he just kept it.
There is one scene where they're transporting drugs in, I think, the 4th season. And there are people in the back of the van, and the van gets shot up from the outside. And the meth is in the batter. Like, remember when they put the bags of meth into the batter and they shoot bullet holes through the buckets that are actually filled with the batter, and you see the batter come out of the buckets? I'm like, God, I would smash that just batter. And everybody talks about how good the fried chicken is on the show, and everybody's
it's not fried chicken. Isn't it like rotisserie chicken, or is it like roasted chicken? I can't.
It's fried chicken.
Yeah, it's fried chicken.
And there's one scene where they got it for the Hank Schrader, and I was just like, God, I would smash that. Yeah. I would smash.
Okay, so where I'm mixing that up is El Pollo Loco, the real chain that's in California, is a rotisserie chicken place.
Yeah, no, Los Pollos Hermanos, I think, is like fried chicken with Mexican Chilean spices.
I'm in. And Gus just took such great care with the restaurant. Like, nobody worked this hard on their front ever.
Yeah. This front was, they had like a whole plant for batter, and like it's good food. Okay.
Yeah.
because it had to be good for the front to continue. Like if it was a bad restaurant, then like they were opening up chains and like. By the way, the entire final season of Breaking Bad, when they walk through the Madrigal, the main German conglomerate, that there was like 9 different logos of fake fast food joints that all looked amazing. By the way, but yeah, like Gus is him and his food. If he put half as much effort into his food as he did into his meth, you can imagine.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, as terrible as being a major meth distributor for the southwestern United States
the pride in that meth.
At least some great chicken came out of it.
Yes. And I actually went to Albuquerque once and went to the Los Pollos Hermanos building and ate at the restaurant that was actually in it. It's called Twisters, and they had a tremendously good burger. Highly recommend. I was blown away by how good the burger was.
You didn't go off the deep end on this. This is great.
No,
okay.
all right.
Perfect.
Landis got in my head a little bit, and I was already a little bit nervous before. I was like, because I texted River last night, like, am I missing the plot here? But
I just said no. I was going to kick your ass at it. So.
I just don't know if Los Pollos Hermanos is integral to the plot line, like you said. Like
it's very much so.
No, yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
And it looks good. Like
it does.
Yeah.
You kind of want to go eat there.
Yes.
Like you want to grab Walter Jr.'s Dodge Charger and go eat there.
Yeah.
All right. So Andy, you're number 3.
The Ziggy Piggy from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This is the greatest ice cream sundae of all time. Napoleon winds up eating it. This is where they stash Napoleon when they're trying to go get some of the other historical figures. And basically Napoleon houses this entire ice cream sundae.
That looks
late
really
elementary school. Yeah, I'm late elementary school at this point when this movie comes out. This is all I ever wanted in the world.
It kind of reminds me of the Kevin McAllister ice cream that he got.
Yes.
Too. But yes, like that. It's colorful. That's the thing that makes it so good.
And it's so many scoops of ice. There's like 12 scoops of ice cream in there.
Yeah. No, this is a good choice.
All right. So my number 3 is Scooby Snacks from Scooby-Doo. Just classic.
Raggy.
Raggy. But yeah, I just yeah, these are classic.
Wafers.
You don't know that. You ever had Scooby Snacks? You can look
they did create dog treats that they branded as Scooby Snacks. I never ate one. My dogs didn't like them. They were not their favorite treats.
I've got to imagine that whatever they had an idea for in that cartoon is better than anything they've tried to recreate in real life. So,
listen,
it's got to be.
We're all on the same page now. Like we all realize that Shaggy and Scooby were complete stoners and had the munchies at all times. Like every time they got in trouble, it was their stomach led them there.
Yeah, that is true.
Landis just texted me, homie just picked dog food.
Homie just picked dog food.
They're dog treats.
Dude, Landis is a funny
defense.
Dude. He's that dude is like, he's very understated and quiet, but you hear the things that come out of his mouth. He is one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life. And the way homie just picked dog. Okay.
All right.
My next one is the Big Kahuna Burger from Pulp Fiction.
I almost picked this one too.
Joint, and the way it just looks so juicy and so delicious. And there isn't a fat kid out there in the entire world that watched this movie and was like, God, that burger looks good.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Real food, but I don't know if there's like a pineapple slice or whatever they do to make it Hawaiian. The Hawaiian bun. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Well, yeah, you go with the sweet roll, but maybe you put a grilled pineapple slice on it too. That would be really good.
And that is a sweet roll burger before the King Hawaiian roll thing became a fixture in fast food across. Like Arby's does the King's Hawaiian rolls, I think, and stuff. Yeah. And the way that he slammed the Coke too, because that's what I do. Like I'm a big soda drinker. So and he said that's one tasty burger. Check out the Big Brazen
one
Brad.
Tasty burger. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that did look so good. Now, granted, he's holding a gun on everybody.
He was able to enjoy it.
Yes.
It looked amazing.
Onakuno in the chat. It was a Sprite, Ari.
Yeah, the slurp on the dude. Yeah, it was a Sprite. It was a whatever. It's soda. Coke and soda where I grew up were interchangeable. But yes.
Yes. All right. My number 2. The old 96er from the great outdoors. Throw in some Paul Bunyan hats for the kids. I wanted to eat this steak so bad. I have always wanted to eat this steak. What's that, Ari?
It's a 96-ounce steak.
It is a 96-ounce steak. Now, there's some fat on it that John Candy tries to not eat, and the chef's like, that's good meat right there. And he has to eat it. So, but it is, I've always wanted to do this. I never have. I was in Amarillo, Texas at one point. There is that place where they have the I think it's a 72-ounce steak. You have to eat the 72-ounce steak, a salad, and a baked potato.
Yeah. The hardest part about that place in Amarillo is that the wait is longer than it would take you to eat the steak. We went there and drove by. I wasn't going to try the challenge, but I just wanted to eat there because it's like a tourist trap. And like the wait was like 2.5 hours to get a table in that place. So maybe one day we'll go to Amarillo and you'll try to take it down, Andy. But yeah, the steak thing for you is a good angle for sure.
I love this scene so much. This is just Dan Aykroyd as obnoxious as possible as Roman. John Candy in his element. John Candy, RIP, gone way too soon. But I love this scene so much. I want this steak. If we could recreate this scene for the show with you as Dan Aykroyd and me as John Candy, I would be all for that.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely always about you in your eating challenges and watching it in amazement.
Right in your wheelhouse, Andy, for sure.
All right.
So my number 2 is the most iconic cartoon burger there is. Give me the Krabby Patty from SpongeBob.
So, I mean, the thing about this Krabby Patty is because SpongeBob was a little bit after my time. Is that crab meat?
I don't know.
No, it's beef, which is it's underwater, so I don't even know how they get the beef. Okay, but you know what the secret ingredient is, everybody, right?
Pickle.
The secret ingredient is love.
An iconic burger. Can't beat it. Mr. Krabs made who knows how much money off of it. He's just a money hungry guy.
I was gonna say he didn't spend any of it. He just made it.
Just kept it.
Yeah, maybe I gotta go back in time and watch this. Maybe my daughter will get into it.
But so your daughter's too young. Wait until she's probably like 8 or 9. I will put this out there. As an office, like workplace comedy, SpongeBob SquarePants is up there with The Office. They are on the same level as a workplace comedy.
Subliminal jokes in that show for sure. Very good.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out one day. I missed it completely, but I am aware of what the Krabby Patty is, so it's an iconic choice.
As long as you know what it is. All right, Ari, your number 2?
My number 2, the only reason why I know this exists is because my wife helped me with this. It was an assist from her because we were talking about it. But my daughter is currently like watching Disney movies. And this one actually scared her when we stopped watching it. But have you guys seen Matilda recently?
I have seen it, and actually my daughter's school did it as a play. But yes, the Matilda cake. Is that where we're going?
Yeah. I don't pay attention when she's watching, but like. That homie, as Landis would put it, like that is a very good looking cake to me. It is uncomfortable, but the cake, I think that, and I'm not a sweets guy.
That chocolate cake looks amazing. It really does.
Yeah, and like it's an uncomfortable scene. Like he doesn't seem happy eating it, but I think I would smash that entire thing.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, all right, my number 1. And I have wanted this since I was a very young child. The show actually came out before I was born, but the reruns were on every day in my house. This is from the credits of the Flintstones. Bronto ribs. When they're at the drive-in and they order Bronto ribs, and she puts them on the side of the car, and it tips the car over.
Yeah.
Give me those. Give me those because I could eat on those all day.
I saw the picture in the graphics area of the stream. I'm like, oh, that's a good hit. I forgot about this. That is a fictional food that would
look at the smile on Fred Flintstone's face.
So satisfied.
Yeah.
Look.
Fred was a pretty wise man.
Listen, Fred did all right for himself. Well, Wilma was something.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, good pull, Andy. That's a good one.
River,
my
you're number one.
Oh, River's number one.
My number one is probably the best looking pizza there ever has been in a cartoon, but that is the cheesy pizza from a Goofy movie. I was thinking about doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza, but I mean, this cheese in this pizza, like after he pulls that, he picks up the bottom of it and just wraps it around the slice. It's phenomenal. And this is
I dream of being able to do that.
Oh, I mean, it's just
Isn't that
awesome.
kind of what the Ninja Turtle pizza also did, though? Didn't they?
Yes, they would stretch it out wide.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that looks good, and I'm always good for pizza.
Yeah, just gotta get a slice in there.
Yeah, and just so you know, Landis said Goofy would have been his first overall pick. So I respect Landis quite a bit. That's why I keep bringing him up.
We've come a long way since me picking dog food. Let's go.
Yeah, you picked dog food, and then you rounded out good.
Two spots later, you've totally redeemed yourself. All right. What's your last one?
My number one is not an actual food, and I might have missed the plot here.
Okay.
But it is a restaurant that I would die to go
That's
to.
fine. Los Pollos Hermanos is a restaurant.
And
too.
that would be Vesuvio from Sopranos, which is
Yes.
the Artie Bucco's Italian restaurant.
I wasn't sure if one of it, because I was thinking about Satriali's.
Yeah, that's a pork deli meat store.
Yeah,
gabagool. Like, they show, and like Tony is eating some delicious looking pasta in 9,000 scenes.
Yes,
and I got to tell you, I've grown up in some places where I had some Italian friends, and there is nothing better. Nothing. And this goes back to the Mexican food thing that we always get. There is nothing that hits harder, nothing on earth, than a home cooked legit Italian meal. And I don't have a specific dish. I don't have a choice.
I'll one up you here. There's nothing better than going to the old school family Italian restaurant.
Yeah,
and they take away the menus, and they go, "Just trust us here."
And it hits every single thing. Like there's a place in Vegas, and I cannot remember. My buddy took me to it. I can't remember what the place's name was, but it was an old school like mob feel Italian place, and he got a chicken parm, dude. And I took a bite out of this thing. I didn't even have to chew. And it's like there is nothing on earth that is better than Italian food that's done right. And like when you watch this show, the entire show is you jealous of what Tony Soprano is eating. Like, like I would die to go there.
I was in the midst of a 50-pound weight loss when I binged The Sopranos.
Bad idea.
He's eating in every scene, and it always looks so amazing.
Yeah, and it's always like but this would be this is the first thing that popped into my head when it came to fictional food, and it's real food. There's real Italian.
Oh no, this is you did not miss the plot at all.
Okay,
like a meal at Vesuvio would be incredible.
Yes. And it eventually burned down, I think, if I remember the show correctly. But it really is a hidden gem to me.
I was gonna add further spoilers for The Sopranos, but don't. That's another show's bit
on them. If you're a human being who hasn't seen The Sopranos in 2025, then you're just, I don't know. But somebody in the chat here said the Goodfellas jailhouse pasta spaghetti that they were making, where they cut when they're slicing the garlic super thin.
Oh yeah.
Is
that Paul Sorvino slicing the garlic? Yeah.
And he like presents the wine. Like that would be a hell of a dinner too. But that's the same concept, right? Italian by Italian people done the right way.
Yeah. This is no overlap. Though there were a few on each of yours that I actually considered picking, and I'm kicking myself for not picking. But this is great. This is a great list, everybody.
Yeah, I think we could put this out there and actually do a poll and see who they think won. But
yeah, because I think I think it might break down along generational lines. Because River's going to get all the young people.
Yeah,
but I'm going to get all the old people. I don't know. You might get a lot of the old people too.
Yeah. The thing about yours is like, or it depends on if you suspend reality, but like the foods that don't exist, that you can't recreate, like the Bronto ribs.
Yeah.
Like that might get you the win. Cause like, I can see why somebody would be like, that food doesn't exist. And
how many days could you eat off Bronto ribs? That's what I'm curious about. Like, and how do you store it?
Yeah, I think that you would probably find a way to finish the whole thing and then not need to store it. But yeah, I'm happy. I think all three of us did good. River was talking a lot of smack about how he was going to roll us. I don't know. I think he has iconic ones, so he might. But
he also has dog food.
He has dog food
As
and like
Lance points out.
Ratatouille. Like I looked at the Ratatouille picture and I'm like, that doesn't.
Well, ratatouille is like a vegetable stew. Like it's not what most people would consider something awesome.
3 of your 5 picks don't make my mouth water, which I think is where you might lose.
Maybe
we'll find out. Let's put it out.
We'll see.
We'll let the people decide. Gentlemen, it's been a hell of a week. By the way, Texas State going to the Pac-12.
It's electric.
There's your real alignment news for the day.
Yeah. I think we
next
covered
week
about as much as we needed to.
Next week, deep dive week, another deep dive week. We are going deep into 5 different teams for 2025 with our experts from our various sites. We are looking at Georgia, at Clemson, at Texas, at Penn State, and at Oregon. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great shows. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to be a much better prepared college football fan for 2025. You're going to be much more excited for the season. And oh, by the way, 12 media days. Only a week and a half out. See you on Monday.